What's up, YouTube? I created Real Estate Manual, a channel dedicated to giving you detailed insider knowledge on every aspect of real estate so you can make confident, informed decisions whether you're buying, renting, selling, or investing. Now, if you're trying to get into real estate, then you've probably seen these videos on TikTok saying it's so easy to make tons of money with Section 8 rentals. And you've probably seen the opposite videos saying it's terrible and the tenants have ruined their apartment and they're never going to do it again. Well, if you're having a hard time discerning hyperbole from honesty, I have over 20 years experience in real estate, construction, insurance, and business, and I'm going to provide detailed, real-world insight into how Section 8 actually works, because the devil is in the details with this one, and the money's in the margins.
I don't even know what that means.
No one knows what it means.
That means you can make some real money, but you need to be strategic, prepared, and informed. So what is Section 8 exactly? Section 8 is a federal government program administered by HUD that provides a voucher, i.e. money, for tenants. However, you have to know you're going to work with a local public housing agency, a PHA. So let's break down the process. A tenant has to apply, and there are limits and restrictions in each locality, but if they get approved from their local PHA, they'll get a voucher, and they can take that voucher to the open market and look for an apartment. Now, in most of the Northeast states, you cannot discriminate against income or sources of income. So check your locality and be aware of local regulations. Now, you also have to understand the dynamic here as well, because the tenant has options. So if you think you can just scale up and throw a bunch of subsidized tenants in your building and the government is going to pay you, you're going to be sorely mistaken when none of the tenants want your dilapidated apartments and you're not getting any checks. So let's say you have a marketable apartment and find a tenant with a voucher who likes the apartment. There are a number of steps and at least 3 to 4 weeks before you can get that tenant in there and collect rent. First, the tenant has to reach out to the housing authority and ask them to send you, the landlord, a move-in packet. Now, I just looked at one that I got last year and it was 17 pages. It included an RFTA, which is a request for tenancy approval. It has the basic info on the building, the unit, the bedroom, bathrooms, who's responsible for the utilities, the rent, and other info like that. This is about 3 pages right there. Then you're going to have the owner's rent reasonableness form, a lead-based paint form, landlord certification, W-9, an EIN form, authorization for direct deposit, online account form, and the inspection service contact form. Now that's a ton of paperwork to get going before you even get that tenant in there and get any payment from the government. Next, you're going to have to schedule the inspection. This can take 1 to 4 weeks depending on availability. Then they're going to come inspect the unit and the common areas and basement. If you're renting a multifamily and there's an issue with one of the other unit's boiler, they can fail you for that, even though it has nothing to do with the unit you're renting. So the whole building has to be up to date, including the following. The heat, hot water, electricity, and water all must be turned on and functional at the time of inspection. Smoke detectors on each level, including the basement, and you're going to need carbon monoxide detectors outside of the bedrooms. The windows must be in working order and have locks on them. Any paint, loose, peeling, chipped, cracked paint, that's going to need to be fixed because you're guaranteed a failure. Any infestations, roaches, mice, rats, that's all got to be addressed. And all the doors need to function, close, open, and lock correctly. GFC eyes. So any outlets near water sources like the kitchen or the bathroom, you're going to need GFCI outlets. That's ground fault current interruption. Grounded outlets. So if you have an old building and most of the outlets are 2 wires, you can't just stick a 3-plug outlet in there. That's not going to work. You would have to put GFCIs in each one, and that's about $20 per outlet. So one option is to go and find just regular 2-prong outlets. Or if you have metal boxes, that most likely means you have BX cable and you can ground it to the box. All plumbing leaks have to be repaired. No dripping or leaking water. That's not going to pass. Here's another one. The water heater has to have a TPR, temperature pressure relief valve, and that discharge has to be no more than 6 inches from the floor. The stove, oven, refrigerator, microwave, dishwasher, all that has to be clean and working properly. The windows must be lockable. Exterior doors need to close, open, and latch properly. Bathrooms are going to have a lock on them. You're going to have a window or a fan in the bathroom along with a light fixture, working toilet, sink, and tub or shower. All heating sources have to be vented correctly. So I've seen a lot of cases where you don't have a correct vent for the furnace. The yard should also be free of debris and hazards. Now, after the inspection, you're going to get a letter or email from the inspection company saying the building passed or failed. And if it failed, what the reason was. If it fails, you're going to have to remedy those issues, contact the inspector, and schedule a new inspection. Get them to come out, get the tenant to open up and get the inspector in, and hopefully pass the next time. But if you pass, the housing authority will reach out to you with the next steps. Now, here's a point to note. Just because you look at the voucher standard payment in your area doesn't mean you're going to get that amount. So maybe the max allowable for a 2-bedroom in your area could be $2,000, but if your market is older and doesn't have updates and modern features, you won't be getting that full $2,000. The housing authority might come back and say, given market rates and conditions, we can offer $1,800. Well, that's $2,400 you just lost per year. Next, if you come to an agreement with the housing authority, they'll send some more documents to sign, and hopefully they'll have e-sign, and you can schedule a date for the tenant to move in and start collecting rent, which will be direct deposited into your account, and depending on the PHA, could be on the 1st of the month or after the 10th of the month. So you'll really need to factor that into the equation as well, because you might not be getting paid on the 1st of the month. Finally, every year you'll need a new inspection. You're going to get a letter from the inspection service with the date that they choose, and you'll have to schedule that with the tenant and super or yourself and get into the building and unit. Now, if you miss this, the housing authority will stop paying rent and won't start again until you get the unit to pass. So here's 3 takeaways for you. Number 1, time. There is going to be a time delay between tenant accepting the unit and you getting paid. I would say 3 to 4 weeks for any type of voucher program at least. Number 2, the inspection. There are a number of things that can cause a unit to fail, so make sure you review a list of all inspection points. Check out the free Section 8 building checklist in the description below. And number 3, there is definitely extra paperwork and energy involved, so you'll really need to budget that into your calculations. And share your experience or questions in the comments. As always, please subscribe to Real Estate Manual for detailed insider knowledge on real estate.